Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to another video celebrating four in a row. Four Premier League titles in a row. It actually happened. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a figment of my imagination. Man City won four Premier League titles in a row. Surreal. I needed to celebrate with someone, so I've asked a fellow Mulv from Noisy Neighbours to join me today. First of all, hello. How are you today? Are you good? Are you well?
All right, Steve, I'm brilliant. Thanks for having me on. Never been better. Still drinking it all in, trying to consume as much positive information about what we've just done as possible. As you know, you have to fight through a lot of bollocks.
I was about to say the choice of the word positive was telling there.
Yeah.
Wading through the nonsense. We're sort of like this, it's sort of like the online is a sewer. And every now and then you sort of see the glimpse of a glorious skyline sort of bathed in the middle of it all. But it did happen and it was wonderful. And Blues have been enjoying it despite what people would tell you. And today I thought it'd be a good chance to sort of discuss what yesterday meant, how special it is, and even get into some heavy stuff as well about, just the narrative around it, because I've done the celebration videos and whatever. But I think it's good to sort of reflect a little bit. It's not even 24 hours, but it has been 24 hours now. But still, it feels like reflections on the card already. And first of all, how was yesterday, man? Where were you watching it and stuff? Was it kicking off?
Yeah. So I'm based in Dallas, in Texas, in the States, and we have a local supporters club that I'm a member of. And we have a pub we go to for every game. It was packed, shoulder to shoulder, with anticipation. There was, as you can expect, there was a mixture of feelings before kickoff. Some pretty confident, some just nervous. I felt alive. I'll say that. I felt alive. I think not enough times. I live a pretty sort of settled, normal life, quite happy and that. And maybe occasionally I look for times to really feel alive. Good ones, of course. And this was one of them. And I was more nervous about the Spurs game.
Yes.
But I did have a bit of unsettled stomach before this, just enough to make me feel like, right, this does mean something. This is important to me, and there's some jeopardy here. So it was a great time at the pub. Obviously, the roof came off when Foden scored after a minute. Just limbs everywhere, beer everywhere. Incredible! What an incredible goal! A way to kick off the day.
It had to be him, didn't it? It had to be him.
He's just. After winning that award and that, and again, the negative reaction to all the bitter people who have their own favorite choice.
Childish. It's
so childish. I know, but they've all got their own favorites for, they probably play for their team and that. And there's some very, very good players around the league, but he was the standout, and he just stamped his his award with that performance. He's amazing, and he's only 23.
Yeah, I think he turns 24 like this week probably.
Yeah.
But it's what a way to end his 23rd year of life. Or 24th year of life technically. You know what I mean. But yeah, it's remarkable, and it had to be him. Super chat. I'm not sure if this is the same pub, but Caleb just said my two goats in a pod together. The pub was rocking yesterday, and Mulv is the goat. Is that the same? You got the same pub together?
Yeah. So Caleb lives near me.
Caleb.
And he's a big fan of yours. And
Caleb says
yeah. We talk about you and your content all the time at the pub, and he's always at the pub with us watching. So yeah, shout out Caleb. Man.
I need to come to Dallas one day. I'm not even just saying that, but I want to go to. I've only ever been to a couple of supporters clubs in.
You went to Austin?
Yeah, I've been to Austin. I've been to New York, and it's just I've been to New York to two different venues as well. It's just ace. It's just so much fun. Like, I genuinely enjoy being at supporters clubs, overseas and stuff like that. It's just so much fun. One day, hopefully. Like, Dallas is Dallas a fun place to visit? Is there much to do in Dallas?
Okay, perfectly honest. When you went to Austin, you went to the right place.
Right place, yeah. I had a feeling that was the right one to go.
Great town. Probably the best place in Texas. Dallas, honestly, a bit boring. We've got where JFK was assassinated, so that's a bit morbid, to be honest, a bit eerie. We've got some decent food, but you would have had the same type of food in Austin. So it's really just me and Joey. So
Well,
that you'll be coming for.
You, Joey, and Caleb. Let's be honest.
And Caleb, sorry. And
Yeah.
Caleb,
Well, maybe one day we'll see. Maybe I'll drive through one day for a game or something like that. But I'm glad you had a wonderful day yesterday. I was lucky enough to be there yesterday. I had to be there. I had to. With one of my best mates from the old Blooming Rising days, Paul.
I love Paul.
Yeah, Paul's ace.
He's
Have
brilliant.
you met Paul before?
Yeah, I met him. He's brilliant.
Oh, Paul,
yeah.
He's literally. I credit Paul Walsh for this. Everything that I've done in this space, I credit to him. He essentially hired me.
He's been really nice to me and Joey over the years as well.
He's a great bloke. He's truly a great bloke. I've known him for about the best part of a decade now. He's one of my best friends. So basically when I started working at Blooming Horizon, it was a job. People don't realize it wasn't like it was a job at the time. We were owned by a company, and him and the producer interviewed me. It's funny that like one of my best mates interviewed me for a job, and then we just hit off straight away. And he taught me all this, taught me videos, taught me how to present a little bit, edit, all that kind of stuff.
Super talented.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and now he's a producer at Man City, and and yesterday he was filming some stuff with Steph Houghton and Nadim Manir, and then ran over to sit down with me and watch the game. So what a life he's got, and he deserves it because he's a great man. But anyway, yeah, yesterday it was wonderful. And you mentioned the word earlier, Jeopardy, and that's what I personally realized. By the way, is I don't like it easy. I've realized this. I don't actually like it easy. I like it when we're fighting against something. I don't know if that's inherently part of being a Man City fan in terms of how I grew up, and obviously you grew up as well, the same, where we weren't always that great. But I like it when this. To me, the goal was amazing, but I wish it'd actually come a little bit later. I genuinely do. In terms of the feeling, I like the tension, and as you said, it makes me feel more alive, And those moments of that, I didn't want a 4-0 at halftime. I just didn't. I actually didn't. I have to pretend I didn't, but deep down, the core of me wanted it to be a little bit more. And I was sort of like, when West Ham scored that incredible goal, I was like, oh, this makes it a bit spicy again, because everyone had relaxed a bit, and I thought. I sort of enjoyed it weirdly, which is a bit perverse, but it
was just the right amount of Jeopardy for me.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want a Villa, a QPR, any of that. I've had my taste of that. I think I so desperately wanted the unique achievement of the 4 in a row that there was Jeopardy there for me. Now that we've gotten it, there was a time in the season where I'd sort of said I'd be okay. It doesn't look like we're going to win it. I hadn't written it off, but I'd come to terms with the fact that we might not win it this season, and that was fine. But as it got down to the crunch, I started really wanting that history, So the day was just the right amount of Jeopardy. That overhead kick from Kudus, great. And then I think Arsenal scored right around that time as well. So I still felt relatively confident because we still had the 1-goal lead and we still had, lots of time to play. We were on top, so no, just the right amount for me on the day.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I'm just sick, I don't know, something about it. I'm craving the next high, this is a controversial opinion, but I'm the kind of guy who feels Villa was better than 93-20 because 93-20 fed into Villa. It wasn't better, but maybe it was, but I feel like it was more, oh my God, we're doing this again, while also being terrified. And to me, there's something about having lightning strike twice that made the Villa game even more mind blown. I'd never thought that would happen again. So I loved that. I loved that chaos could happen again. That we could do it. And there's a small part of me was if it happened 3 times in a row, it's mental. But at the same time, would have been much.
So that's it. That's very interesting. I don't know whether it's just because so much time has passed between 93-20 and now, and the Villa thing's a bit more recent. But there was a time where every time I watched the 93-20, the Aguero goal, I would get a bit choked up.
Yes,
and that has diminished a bit. Now it happens every time with the Villa. When Gundogan gets that goal, I feel it. I really feel it.
It's still goosebumps, yeah.
You know what? Maybe part of it as well. I wasn't really watching City with other Blues when 93-20 happened. I thought I was one of maybe 6 City fans in Dallas. We hadn't established.
I wasn't at 93-20 either. I had to get up at the time.
I was in my living room.
I was skint, so I was with my dad watching it.
Yeah. I was in my living room by myself because I think I'd pissed off my whole family already, so they were leaving me alone. So Blue Moon Dallas didn't exist at that point. We started immediately after that when we realized there were a few of us in Dallas and we could get together and watch the games. Our first match together was the Community Shield after the Aguero moment. But the Villa one, packed pub with all my mates here in Dallas. So maybe that is why, I remember it a bit more fondly. I don't know, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I think, to be honest, we weren't there, so it's hard for us to judge the 93-20. But I don't think it's probably better, but it's something about the feeling of it feeding into each other. And when I was there that day for the Villa game, and there was definitely a feeling of, oh my God, it's happening again. And that it's quite a weird experience. But we're looking back in the past because I feel it's relevant to the title of this video, which is how special is 4 in a row. I couldn't fit that on the actual thumbnail, so I just put 4 in a row is special. So I've answered the question. But it is a good question to ask because it will be glossed over for many reasons. Some subconsciously, like we've felt a lot of title wins, so maybe some of us won't fully grasp the enormity of it. Secondly, because some of the press in particular don't want us to feel that way. They don't want to. We're being told by rival fans it doesn't mean anything. And I feel like the only people that can sincerely answer that question in terms of emotively are us, City fans. I don't think no one else has experienced it. So how could they possibly comment on something they don't understand? How special is it for you, Mulv? Like, what does it mean for you?
I don't quite know yet, Steve. Again, I'm still taking it all in, but I have for a couple of seasons now been really looking for, like I said earlier, the unique achievements. To have things that are only ours, I think means everything. We for a long time, obviously, we're in the shadow of our neighbors, and it may still take some time for us to amass the amount of trophies that they've won, but for us to have things that they've never done, it feels incredible. So yeah, the more unique achievements we can amass in this special window of time that I think we have, certainly with Pep, yeah, the more of those we can rack up, the better. The Centurions, the domestic treble,
the formidable 100 points.
Yeah, all of those.
The 4 in a row, the treble.
That nobody's done. Love it. Absolutely love it.
And I think you're right in terms of you sort of mentioned the idea that we're on ticking time with Pep, and I think Pep alluded to that afterwards. And I think they're very sincere comments. And I don't think he said he's going, but I think he was sort of warning us this ain't going past another 2 or 3 years at max. And I think that was a very obvious message there. And I doubt he might do another year after the year. I think it's possible for that. But I think he's sort of laying the groundwork now for I think people misinterpret that as if to say he's about to walk away. I think he meant he's closer to the end of his City career than the start of it in terms of time. I think he meant that, not like it could be. I think that's a second language thing there because that's how I. I think that was the most logical thing for him to say at that moment, not just like I'm fucking off soon. I don't think he would say that at that day. He's not that stupid to say it that wrong in the time, but I do think, as you said, like. We have to make the most of this and during this window. And the way it's sunk for me is I always try and remember that we're living these things right now that we're going to talk about in 30 years, and like when hopefully I'm a granddad and my little Ruben's got a kid, and or I've forgotten your son's name. What's your son's name again?
Cameron.
I nearly said what did I nearly say?
We call him Bubba, but yeah.
I had a C name in my head, but at least Kyle, I think, for some reason. But yeah, maybe Cameron one day if he's got kids or something like that, you'll tell him about that kind of thing. And that's the thing where I'm acutely aware that it's very easy in the social media age, which is it's one of my biggest bugbears. Because I sort of do it to gloss over and look into the next thing. We're always looking to the next thing because the internet doesn't stop moving and the internet doesn't wait for anyone. And sometimes I wish I didn't do this as much and was a bit more disconnected so you could really just sink in. And then for the next conversation of football for the next 2 months, every time I saw it would be City winning the league. That would be it because that's all they talked to me about. But the conversations happen so quickly now and they move on so quickly that I think there's a danger of it not sinking in,
Yeah.
So I tell myself to remember these moments and, when I was at the game yesterday, one of my best mates, and just chatting football, watching it, jumping around, celebrating, decking a pint of wine at half time, because that's all they had on tap left. I was like, well, that's sort of life, that's living, as you said. And I want to make sure we remember that. And then to get to the achievement, it is special 4 in a row. It absolutely is. And people will try and play it down because ultimately Man City spent money. But that's literally it in a nutshell. But newsflash, Chelsea have just spent $1 billion in a year. $1 billion. That's what Guardiola's apparently spent in Manchester City, full stop. They've just done it in a year. Like, this is, if you ever needed, what's it called, perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy that we have to keep banging this drum as Manchester City fans. Regardless of the money, even if Guardiola spent 1.5 billion, not $1 billion, it's all on the table, whatever. That's still justified. The money that he spent, the work rate they put in, everything about it is absurd. Like
there's not an amount of money that can overcome
the mental thing.
Yeah, like sorry, I keep forgetting this word, the C word. When you win a lot and you might
complacency.
Drop off. Complacency, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not an amount of money or a number of players that you can have that would thwart that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to fight that off. And for them to have done it 4 years in a row, it's just incredible. We talked about that window that we've probably got here. Like, we all know football's cyclical and that, and we'll have, these will be our golden years, I imagine, and they will start to recede. But there's a lot of chatter about the term legend, especially with like a lot of statues going up around the Etihad over the last few years. And I've always and what constitutes a legend, right? Because we always get laughed at for who we revere, because they're in the recent past, right? And I've always gone with like the literal definition of legend, which is essentially a story that gets passed down through generations. And
that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. Like you and I and many others that will be watching this who are sort of either one in a line in a generation of City fans, which I think you are and I am. I think I'm a third generation. But there's other folks out there that might be the actual patriarchs of a City family. They might be the first sort of City fan.
No, I am. I actually am.
Okay.
So, like, people don't realize my dad's from North Wales and my mum was born in Old Trafford, so that'll tell you everything you need to know about it. But my mum wasn't really a football fan, but my grandma was a United fan. I chose City as a kid when I was like 4. I don't even know I did. I think it was a kid at nursery or whatever, it was primary school, who liked City, and he was my best mate, and I liked the colour blue and the word Manchester. That was it. So I am the patriarch of this week. I am passing it on to Ruben, and like I'm creating a blue family.
The same way
I love that.
The same way I've asked my parents, okay, well, who started this? Who was the first Mulv to be a City fan, right? Generations from now, somebody in your family will ask the same question. Some kid will go, who started this, right? And it'll be, great granddad Steve, from Ramsbottom.
I never thought about it that way, actually, Mum. That's a really nice thing. Because...
So people will say to me over here in the States, right? Obviously, we have a lot of new fans over here. They'll say, I'm a bit envious of you, Mulv, because, you can confidently say you've been a Blue your whole life and all that. And I feel a bit like I'm new to it. And I say, hang about. I'm a bit envious of you because you're going to get to be the patriarch, probably, of, a City family tree, and that's something I'll never be able to do. So
I've got to play you out loud and sorry on my laptop now because these are flat and I lost the cable.
Oh, so shit!
Crossed,
okay, I'll keep going. I'll
interrupt too much.
I'll vamp for a bit.
I can't hear you. One second, mate. 1 second.
Point being,
hang on.
Should I stop talking?
Go for it.
Okay. Point being, legends and the literal.
Hang on.
Oh.
Basically, my headphones, if everyone's listening, have gone flat, which is annoying. Meaning I should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Check 1 2.
Why is it doing this?
No, nothing.
Sorry, everyone. I'm having so much technical problems in my life at the moment. Speaker. There we go. Why is Mulv not playing out loud for me then?
Check 1 2. Check.
This is so annoying. Let me see if we can plug these in and they work at the same time for the Bluetooth.
All right. I'll finish my speech for those who can hear me.
See if that'll work.
And it's about legends. And
hang on 1 second.
Oh, he wants me to hang on. All
right. Sorry, Mulv. Yeah, Mulv, right. you carry on, Mulv, if everyone can hear you.
I can carry on. Legends.
What is meaning? You say what you want to.
The literal meaning of the word. Stories that you pass on from generation to generation. We're in those moments right now. We are creating those memories and those legends for us, whether it be Stephen, who's the patriarch of his Man City family, or myself, third generation City fan, got a son, fourth generation, who will pass these moments, these unique achievements Centurions, domestic quad, 4 in a row, Champions League winners, all of that stuff. We will pass all of these stories down as legends. All the players involved in all of these achievements will be legends. There was a while when I thought that Pep Guardiola would only be here 3 seasons, maybe 4. Then when I started seeing these statues going up for players who had been here 10 years, I thought to myself, "Ooh, I bet Pep does 10."
So I still can't hear you. I'm sure you're saying very wonderful
I'm saying
things
some great shit.
I think
mate.
I've had an idea to log in my laptop, and that'll play out loud definitely.
Anyway, I fully expect Pep to do 10.
Perfect.
Get a statue and become maybe our biggest legend.
So I missed all of that, everything you've just said, but I presume
it was about
was
legends and statues and family trees and all of that.
Perfect. I mean, there's an element I've got to keep muting my laptop every time I talk now, so I get the feedback. But I'll sort of control that. But I think that's I never really thought about it that way in terms of the family tree thing, and I think that's really important. Like it is something I'm quite proud of actually, because I've seen my son, already in the City kits and all that kind of stuff. I've got a big, massive bag of City shirts to pass on to him from when I was a kid. I can't wait for that. And you're right in terms of when you talk about legendary moments and so on, what it means, and I think that also equates down to players in terms of the definition of a legend. Like for me. I think, legends are players that you think about and you remember things about and the stories, and they're a moment in time to me. Like the legendary players, I think about them, in terms of what they did for this club as well, in terms of what they brought to this club and did they add to it. It's why I would argue immediately, like, Gundogan is a legend because obviously last season immediately. Phil Foden is already a legend because his involvement in this season, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm still trying to get myself together from this audio technical nightmare going on here, so I've lost my composure. But how do you feel about the opinions about what Manchester City have achieved, and is there a small part of you at very least that feels any of these charges play against it? And I'm being totally honest about this.
No, I don't, mate. At its very worst, what we've been accused of is an owner spending money on the thing he owns.
Yeah.
And honestly, mate, there's no other part of this, there's no other industry where that's a problem. I think that the actual cheating is the rules that were tried, that they implemented. It was clearly a way for those who were at the top at the time to keep themselves there. And no, I think even if you look back as far as 10 years in terms of
I'm having a nightmare, mate. I'm having an absolute nightmare. What is it? I'm having so many technical problems at the moment in life, and I'm putting it down to extreme tiredness, and I think that's pretty much.
Am I getting a feedback now?
In life, right?
Okay.
Tiredness, but I'm broadly with you. I'm going to try and sort this out and say, but I'm with you in terms of the general feel about it. I don't believe money is the difference in this. I don't believe, and I'm going to be very brutally honest here. If Man City have cheated, if they have done, I don't think the players have cheated. I think it's no different to blaming Amazon workers for Jeff Bezos or whatever. It's obviously an extreme link to that. The players are much closely linked to the ownership than guy who delivers your parcels is to Jeff Bezos. I get that. But I think the analogy is still fine. If you worked in a small team of 20 people and 2 and 3 of those were the directors of a company, you're not responsible for them. Bernardo Silva is not responsible for anything that the accountants may or may not have done. Phil Foden is not going to become a cheat because Caldoon might have said do this one day. These are all hypotheticals, of course, but I don't think it's that simple. I think it's a childish way to view it. And I think the idea to undermine, what City have done, people go, yeah, but without that money, they wouldn't have these players in the first place. Yeah, but that still doesn't change their accomplishment on the pitch. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Like a friend of mine tweeted, like, I can't believe Rodri's become this good because Mancini was slightly overpaid 15 years ago.
Exactly.
And that sums up in a nutshell, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like this idea that anything happened that long ago is playing into it. And people forget the charges were up to 2018 anyway. Like that was 5 years ago. So wait, 6 years ago. Everyone forgets that, don't they?
Yeah. Once again, football is cyclical. There's always been teams that have had more money than other teams. I do appreciate that. Perhaps with the arrival of owners from the Middle East who've got bags of money that maybe the landscape in terms of the difference between the amount of money from, say, a bottom team to a top team could be quite drastic. But the way they went about trying to limit it was all wrong. I mean, the amount of times they've tried to change those rules over the years just lets you know that they weren't fit for purpose from the start. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm not against bringing in some sort of rules to make it more equitable, but it
Yeah.
has to be equitable. The rules have to be even. You can't allow teams to be in £1 billion of debt and other teams
Yeah.
not be allowed to spend. You have to be able to spend the same amount of money. So there has to be a fairness about it. I'm not against that, but the way they went about it was awful. And now we're in the pickle we're in. The Everton debacle, Forest, and all that. It's all bollocks, man. And they should have come out with proper equitable rules from the start, and I would have been fine with it. So no, I don't feel any guilt in any regard about what City have achieved. We haven't even spent as much as some other teams over, say, the last decade. You know what I mean? And more than anything, we've backed it up. We've spent it and we've backed it up with multiple trophies. You got teams out there spending similar amounts that are not backing it up. You know what I mean? So, I love it.
Yeah, same, man. And for what it's worth, when asking that question, I was asking it because that's the narrative around. I'm pretty much on the same page as you. Like, I feel gone.
Here's the thing. A lot of what I'm seeing is the same stuff, stupid stuff I said, because we've been on the other side of this. We've not been the richest, most successful club in recent memory. We saw United do it for years, and I used to say stupid stuff like, I don't care, right? Of course I cared. I hated it, and people out there just telling you just how much they don't care. And I see right through you, because I said the same stupid stuff when we were rubbish. So
I feel like both things are true at the same time. It's one of those things where you absolutely care when they win, but it then doesn't consume you for the next 3-4 weeks of your life. You do sort of forget about it. So everyone's going, look, I don't care right now. It's like, what you mean is you're frustrated in the moment, but I think people expect us to think they're on the floor crying, like, oh, and that's it. Their life, they're calling a sick the next day because they're rivals in the league. That's not how it works. We're not saying that. You clearly care because you're rattled and triggered as fuck. But at the same time, that's it. All you get from you is whinging indifference. That's what we did. That's what we did 20 years ago. Whinging indifference. Whinging faux indifference. That's it. And that's all you're doing. It's exactly the same as always happened. I remember going, well, United are it's all cheats anyway. It's all Fergie time.
Exactly.
They're on the watch of Fergie. They buy all the best players because they did. And actually, all their fans are plastics. That was exactly what everyone says to us. That's all I had. And that's what, and all the fans are from London. Now our fans are from London. Now apparently we're buying. Now we're buying. Oh, like Dallas, yeah. Like the point is, everyone who's doing it to us is doing exactly the same as we did 20 years ago. I know it because I lived it. And it's the same lines of argument, and they're mistaking their annoyance as apathy. No, you are annoyed. You're not apathetic. You're just pretending not to be. And like we've all done that. We all act like we're not bothered by things. I don't care.
I had a Manchester branch of Barcelona Supporters Club T-shirt when Barcelona and United faced off in the Champions League final. That's how sad I was. I had a bloody T-shirt saying I was a Barcelona fan for that day. And then, you see the similar stuff now. And it's like, I've lived it,
I nearly tweeted something yesterday, but I couldn't be bothered because I knew that sometimes it can be a signal hotspot, like at the ground, and I couldn't be asked not being able to check on the tweet. But I wanted to tweet, remember, whatever happens today, Man United finished 8th. I wanted to just but then I knew immediately it'd be all like, why are you thinking about us? Blah, 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 blah,
exactly.
blah. I couldn't be bothered with the noise around it, even though it was funny. Even though I wanted to do that. I just thought, I can't be bothered because I won't be able to check in on the tweet, if that makes sense. And sometimes things can spiral. I shouldn't care, but I don't have the energy sometimes.
It's just become a battle of who's rattled more and who was rattled first. And, it's just
the rattle wars.
Yeah, it is the rattle wars. Like, City, I thought was quite a funny tweet. This means 4, right?
It's hilarious.
From the official account. It's in reaction to obviously what Trent said earlier in the season. So they started it and all that, and now because we've responded to it, we're rattled. it's just
It's funny. It's funny. Isn't it? I was saying to my mate yesterday, I was saying to Paul yesterday, you know those speeches that he was like, "This is our city. The time is now." With the other guy booming over it.
I
I,
like
I would
those.
love it. Yeah, I would love it if it was just went full on like Bert, like, and they thought it was theirs, but the bottlers, and it means four, and all this like Klopp, and just proper go for it and dig in at all of it, like ha, 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 across the screen and stuff like that. But they never would do. But I sometimes wish clubs had a license just to full on. I've always said there's too much respect in football. I mean that there's too much respect in football. The most fucking annoying thing in football is when people walk around a logo on the floor. You know, like when you got the club badge. Grow up.
Fake.
It's fake. No one believes it. No one cares. It's on the floor for a reason because it's part of the fucking floor. And in general, like clubs should wind each other on Twitter. Absolutely. You know, we all know it's bloody WWE anyway. You know, like when they do that on Twitter, it's just fun, isn't it? But you can't do it. You have to be, and like I come sometimes. What even the hatred I've received, to fair.
Oh,
I've had some nasty stuff, like truly nasty stuff directed at my son. You know, like just because I've tweeted about United, like truly awful, like saying the worst you can say to someone. Like that's sort of the reason why I could be asked tweeting like yesterday, not seeing it, because I also thought, what if Nicola looks and sees, you know, someone says some horrible back and about our kid or whatever. And so there's an element sometimes where I'm like, it's mad that I could just tweet about United being shit and someone will go that far. But that's the internet for you, isn't it? But it shows you, you know, it does mean something because people wouldn't be that rattled otherwise. It wouldn't be that upset, you know. And what City have achieved to go full circle is clearly special, and it clearly does bother them, and it clearly isn't. Oh, Ruben's in the chat right now, so hey Ruben. Wow, he looks young, Ruben. You've de-aged. Yeah, he's good at YouTube. He's already there. So, but I had a realization yesterday. I can't wait to start taking week in, week out. That's 3 or 4 years from now. Week in, week out. Absolutely can't wait. How are you feeling about the weekend? Looking forward?
Yeah, I think the edge has been taken off. I mean, clearly yesterday was the bigger one. I don't know how I feel about losing the FA Cup final and then having a parade the next day.
I know.
So there is, again, a lot of jeopardy. So I'm excited. I mean, we're better than them.
Yeah,
we should win. I wonder whether Pep's going to
they'll be nervous. I don't think they'll be nervous at all.
No, I just wonder who he's going to give opportunities to, considering the big one sort of behind us. If we might see a slightly rotated side, just to, you know, I mean, he's got to keep a lot of players happy.
And Oscar Bob and everyone, and like Sergio Gomez.
I was thinking like Alvarez.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I don't think he'll go big on the changes. I think there'll be one or two tactical changes, but United in the cup final.
Yeah,
true. A double. No team's ever won FA Cup and Premier League back to back twice. I think apparently.
Is that right? So another unique.
Well, I saw that on Twitter. So it could be bullshit, but you know, it's probably the double back to back. It's probably easy to check, but no one's ever won 2 derbies back to back in the FA Cup final. That's an actual fact. So that to me, I think the players were like, don't ruin our fucking parade. You know what I mean? Like, let's not piss on our own parade by losing this game. I think weirdly, this was the bigger one. The 4 in a row was absolutely the one raving for. This is the icing on the cake, and it's a beautiful cake. It's massive. You know, it's a 3-4 tier wedding cake, and this is like a tiny little cherry on top of it compared to everything. But I do think that they'll be massively up for it, because I think they're going to be playing sort of without pressure. I think this will be nice, and I think Rodri and Foden and KDB, I think they'll all do their thing, and I'm pretty. Yeah, I haven't felt any nerves about that at all yet. I think that'll be Thursday, Friday onwards for me. Right now, basking in the glow.
I'm the fact that he's got both Foden and De Bruyne in the same side, and we've been able to create chances. I think that was one of the stories of the season, was just chemistry wise up front. I don't think we were that great over the entire season. And now that he's introduced the two of them, I never feel like we're short of creativity. And the fact that Haaland missed some chances yesterday, you know, he always reverts to the mean, meaning he could pop off this weekend, and United could suffer for it.
United.
So. United he loves scoring against them. So I feel like things are lining up for us.
God, double, mate. Mulv, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to get the little guy to bed because I know he's on the YouTube channel asking me to come down and give him a hug before he goes to bed, apparently. And it's worked out quite nicely time-wise. And these will go flat in 2 minutes, anyway, probably. Thank you so much, man. Guys, City won 4 in a row. It's ridiculous. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Enjoy it because those memories are real. That's the only thing I would say. You cannot fake those feelings. You cannot fake those emotions. And no accountants or no lawyers will change that for you. Live it, feel it, breathe it. City won 4 in a row. In a bit, thank you, Mulv. Check out Noisy Neighbours Podcast as always. Bye-bye.